This will confirm that. There are 13 seconds to go. Hannah will be joining you in just a moment. Very crowded at the start line. It is the boat in the middle of the line, the two-tone blue sails of the Wave Muscat, who are unfurling their Jenica and sliding away towards the first mark. The Wave Muscat are leading this event, the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series. Can they hold on to that lead until the end? Swiss Alinghi, the overall tour leaders, have had a super start. Well, it's a slightly different course now, Hannah, to earlier on.
Yes, indeed it is, Richard. They are heading for this green mark just off the spectator area here in Cardiff, and it is the Swiss boat of Alinghi, who, having had an 8th in the last race, are looking strong at the start of this race. They've got the inside track and they are heading for the mark. The yellow mark is their first rounding. So the course as it is at the moment, around the yellow one, and then heading down the bay up near the spectators to a white gate. From there they head back across in front of us. They do that a couple of laps and then across the finish line.
Thank you, Hannah. So Alinghi, who've had a difficult last race, had a penalty. They're in 3rd position overall. They started the day joint first. Red Bull Sailing look to be, they are still in touch for a podium place, but they're delivering a few fourths today. And then in 3rd place in this race, the Wave Muscat, the defending champions. They've absolutely not had it all their own way throughout this event. But once again, on the final day, as the pressure intensifies, they appear to go quicker. And as Hannah said, they are now heading down to one of those two conical white marks in the shadows of the hotel. Wave Muscat just rolling into a jive, real team behind them. As far as the overalls are concerned, remember this is the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series. Alinghi, current leader, the two-tone blue sails, the Wave Muscat, and SAP Extreme Sailing are in the top 3 places at the moment, but the order of those places is far from sorted. Alinghi now, round in the shadows of the hotel. Short course, furl the sail. Left that quite late, Hannah.
They really did, didn't they, Richard? Yeah, it's all about getting power out of that turn. That might have been their plan, and it has worked. They've got some nice pace coming out of that. Little more breeze offshore over by the hotel there as they head back across the bay towards us, and a green triangular mark. But a nice start from Alinghi after the disaster they had in the last race.
We will bring you an update on the score, because it's becoming increasingly crucial as the runway gets shorter, as this 4-day event, a day that started in difficult conditions on Friday. What a weekend we had with great breeze and sunshine. Good breeze earlier on today, but it's got very tricky and challenging for the sailors now as it comes to a conclusion.
All Alinghi will be interested in right now, Richard, is where the Wave Muscat and SAP, more importantly, are in relation. The good news for Alinghi is that if we look back down the fleet, SAP Extreme Sailing team are a long way down. So next up, the mark we're heading to is the green triangular mark just here off the VIP area, similar to the first mark they went round after the start. All the teams choosing to head out away from the shore, trying to get clear air. It's very light, very patchy, close to shore.
That's right, there is slightly more breeze over the far side, a little further away from the buildings where our commentary position and where the crowds are. So Alinghi now, the leaders, go into attack. And the advantage they've got at the moment, 40 meters. That's what the SAP analytics are telling us. Red Bull are in 2nd, and they have now tacked, just narrowing the gap just slightly. Morgan Larson there, a man who, when he's away from his sailing machine, keen surfer, lives in the United States, but a man who spends a lot of his time traveling from competition to competition. But Alinghi have got a bit of breeze in there. Nice tack. They've got the Jenica ready to unfurl as they slide round that mark. This is a good recovery from a team. Well, that's interesting. The wind angle has changed a little coming into that mark, so they're able to unfurl that sail And with that, you'll see the distance between first and second extend.
Yeah,
it's very quiet, isn't it?
Very quiet. The breeze gone a long way left there, Richard. You'll see Alinghi unfurling their sail on what was an upwind leg. So the guys on the left, they will be benefiting from that. But Alinghi now in first place, really extending their lead. The good news is their rivals are a long way down the pack. Here they come, Jenica out. Anna Tunnicliffe on the bow, keeping the weight forward, keeping the stern of the boat out of the water as Alinghi hug the shoreline right next to us in the commentary platform and head back for that white gate once again.
Yeah, Alinghi did a good job there because they had other boats some way behind them that are obstructing them and were very brave, so close to the shore. And Alinghi jibe, Anna Tunnicliffe does the acrobatics over the front. Weight as far forward. Crew moving forward to get the body weight, and as they do, you can see the back of the boat just lift slightly out of the water, reducing the friction with the water. But Alinghi have sailed themselves into a good position, and from a dying breeze, looking up Cardiff Bay, little dark patches in the water, there is a bit of breeze. Let's just see how far ahead they've got now. They've got 100 meters ahead. That's the advantage Alinghi have. Now we're going to bring you that scoreboard very soon to give you an update on the scores as we approach the end of this event here in Wales.
Roman Agara on board Red Bull sailing team in second place at the moment. They've squeezed out a little bit of a lead over third place, the Wave Muscat. But this team really running out of opportunities to get themselves here on the podium in Cardiff. What will they do? With the breeze like this, Richard, this course is turning into a little bit of a procession. Opportunities to overtake and opportunities to make a dent on the rest of the fleet really running out.
And there's the Fry and Morgan Larson as Alinghi. We're on board with the pictures now. Let's just remind ourselves of the scores. Alinghi have rounded that mark and they're staying exactly where they feel comfortable. More breeze on that side of the race course. And there are the scores. The Wave are on 211, highest points win. Alinghi 203. They're in second place overall, but this is an important race for them. So the Wave Muscat 211, Alinghi 203. SAP Extreme Sailing Team were in second, now are in third. Top three. Red Bull just off the podium. So that's the battle for the four boats who are heading, you would expect, for podium places. Let's just see if there's any more separation between Alinghi and Red Bull Sailing. Well, they have. Red Bull have almost halved the gap, Hannah.
Yeah, Red Bull really catching up. But actually for Alinghi, where Red Bull are, as long as they're behind them, doesn't matter. The people they have to keep their eyes peeled for at the moment are SAP Extreme Sailing Team. Not many points between the two of them. Now remember, the final race of today counts for double points. This might be the final race, or there might be another one. If this is the final race, then it's looking good for Alinghi to overtake SAP into second place, because they are 4 places behind them. If it's not, then it's going to go all the way to the wire.
It is going to go all the way, but the intention is to have another race after this, and that will be a championship decider. Can SAP win their first ever championship on this tour? Will the tour leaders, Alinghi, defend that position? Can the Wave Muscat with the British skipper complete the job and win here in Wales? Last time he wanted it so badly, in the end he didn't get it. Leigh McMillan at the moment on the Wave Muscat is leading the fleet. And now Alinghi are coming in close to the crowd. Actually, the breeze has held out a little more than some of us thought it would.
Yes, there were definitely some skeptics among the crowd, but this is enough to race these extreme 40s, and Alinghi displaying that now. A lovely, lovely little reach across to that green mark there. After that, it's just a little passing mark of the yellow one before the finish line. Alinghi looking very strong at the moment, Richard.
Good recovery. We're on board now with them as Alinghi get the Jenica out past the yellow mark. Is this going to be the final race? Race control desperately trying to get at least one more race in today. May even get a couple. We'll confirm that to you. It is not over today.
Alinghi have been at the front, they've been at the back, and they are back at the front again. This will be very, very reassuring for them, especially looking in front of them to see the gold and white sails of SAP a long way behind.
Little wave there from Anna Tunnicliffe, or is she just trying to hold on? Oh, no, she's waving. Thanks, Anna. She's in a good position. She'll be the first crew member to cross the line in this fleet, in this race. She can't get much further forward. Could you get just a little forward, couldn't you? Oh, there you go. That's perfect. So Alinghi now, they were 8th in the last race. It was looking bleak. They've upgraded. Super performance in these difficult conditions for the Swiss team. The overall leaders are heading into the finale after an excellent win in that race. Well, I can't quite see if Morgan Larsson's smiling, but he's probably got a bit on right now. Yeah, you have.
I think he's busy doing a lot of maths, actually, trying to work out where SAP are going to finish and what that means for him.
Well, Red Bull, mixed bag today, but Roman Hagara, the skipper, after this, he's straight on an aeroplane off to San Francisco. You've got at least one more race to enjoy, Roman Hagara. 2nd place, you must be pleased with that one. But Hagara and his crew in a real battle to get on the podium. 4th at the moment. Those spoiling his podium party, SAP, the Wave Muscat and Alinghi. The Wave Muscat seem to be coming ashore. Oh no, they're going to jibe. Or we say you can almost touch the boats, there's an example. Stayed out of trouble, 3rd place. Yeah, they lost a couple of points to Alinghi, but nothing wrong with 3rd place. Get a little more intense in the next race when it's double points. Are we going to see a real head-to-head battle? Peter Greenhalgh there, creeping forward, crouched to the front of the boat. But the Wave have sailed well today. Could be one more race. Leigh McMillan, scratching his head. A little time of contemplation. Yeah, I'm in the lead. What have I got to do?
So behind them, mixed performance from these guys today. These guys are some of the best in the world, and it just shows you what it takes to be at the front of the pack. Being the best is not good enough.
Yeah, here's a good one coming into the shore, because SAP are trying to win the event, but before they do that, they seem to be trying to push Land Rover on the beach. Just off the shore, no more than 6 meters away. SAP are just trying to defend that position. Every point counts for them in their battle on the podium. Real team crossed the line, and I think the Danish duo have done a good job there. Kept Land Rover, Team Wales just behind them as they head down towards the finish. I don't know, Land Rover on the inside, have they got a chance here? I think it's running out. They're going to try and expect them to turn to their right, trying to sneak on the inside, but they think they're running out of runway. And SAP here holding on literally and sliding past to finish just ahead. That's 5th position for SAP Extreme, and Land Rover, the Welsh team, they've got to be pretty pleased with their overall performance, because they're mixing it with players who've been doing this game for many, many years, and just to put a team together who are lack of experience as a unit, and they've been mixing it amongst the big boys.
Yeah, turning up and taking part in your first event and racing for the first time just a few days ago when the rest of the fleet have been racing all season. It's a tough old gig, but these guys really holding their own. Another team new on the block, Phil Robertson and his team from China Spirit, really showing that they've got some potential here on this circuit, taking a 7th in this race, but we've seen some far better results from them today. One team left out on the course, Richard.
GAC Pinder coming down now. They've got their own little breeze as they slide down. I'll be giving you information from race control. I think we could have the finale coming up very soon. Phil Lawrence in race control, constantly assessing the conditions. Can he squeeze in one more race? Is he going to go to the finale? Team bosses are pacing up and down ashore now as we get to the end of the competition. Sponsors are hoping their teams are going to be on the podium tonight, on the news in their home nations tonight, those that make the grade. For sailors, what one mistake out here can be the difference between a podium place or not. So Pinder, it's really getting slow motion now, isn't it? Calm and cross the line. That's GA's crossing the line. Right, well, we're going to find out if there is. Right, I have just been advised by race control. They'll confirm absolutely in a moment. The last race is going to be the finale. It's all going to be over after the last race. We're going to look at the scoreboard now and tell you who has to do what. The Wave Muscat have 219 points. They are in the lead. It's 2 points to position at the moment. They need to be 5 places behind the boat that's chasing them for them to lose the lead. So, Wave Muscat, if they're ahead of Alinghi and SAP, they're going to leave here as champions. But Alinghi and SAP, after what, nearly 30 races, they're on equal points. Not sure we've ever had that before. 209 points. It's a Danish duo taking on Alinghi, the first ever sailing team to win the America's Cup. It's a who beats who will get second place. That's what it is. Remember, if the Wave Muscat make a mistake, well, either of those two could still win the event. Close, isn't it?
Interesting though, Richard, Red Bull in 3rd position there, just 7 points behind the other 2 teams in 2nd and 3rd. The other 2 teams, Alinghi and
that's
SAP
right, yeah, SAP, the tight.
Yeah, that's right. They need to be careful, because if they get themselves involved in their own little battle, then Red Bull could sneak in on the inside and actually overtake both of them. So they need to be careful there. But a big battle out on the water for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and possibly 4th.
Well, that's right. So the podium players who are going to get on top of the podium, it's between 4 boats. That's what it's looking like. Let's look at those boats in action right now. Oh, look at that, flying a hull now. Look at the spray.
Here they come, the spray flying out the back of the boat.
Oh no! Nearly lost it there.
Great boys, staying low, staying low.
Just 3 hours of action left. But who will win the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series here in Cardiff? After 21 races, it's so close that that's a hard call to make. But by 5 o'clock today, we'll know. 2 of those in contention for top slot are used to being there. 2 have never been there before. SAP got into this game last year. Right from the start, they were bullish. They didn't get overawed by those with years of experience. But last year was all about learning. This year's been quite different. Podium places in China and Singapore, and here in Wales, they've moved up a gear. What a sight that is. This team are going quickly and confidently. Winners of 5 races so far, inside the top 5 in 15, and often getting themselves out of seemingly impossible situations. They're 2 points off the lead going into the final day. They're looking forward, not back. They want to win, and they could. But they've got 3 teams with the same idea. Red Bull Sailing have not yet matched SAP's consistency. 2 race wins out of 21. Red Bull Sailing, what a way to end the day. The Austrian team win the final race. That's put them right back in the mix. They don't enjoy a great track record on the final day. It would go against form if they upgraded from 4th to 1st, but write them off, that'd be dangerous. Expect SAP's greatest barrier to celebrations in Cardiff to be the double act locked together in top slot. They are on equal points. Alinghi came here as tour leaders and they've not been outside the top 3 all event. And Alinghi got the gust they wanted, and Morgan Larson is sliding into a groove. Alinghi, they're off. The Wave Muscat, they've won 8 out of the 21 races. No other team can match that. And the Wave Muscat doing a masterclass of sailing. They came from 5th, they went to 1st. Win for the Wave Muscat.
But SAP and Red Bull will be hoping that the teams in joint first will get so immersed in their own battle they may leave the door open for others. We'll know by 5 today.
So that was the story going into today's racing for those watching this on screens at home or on their tablets or phones here. It was a real double act at the top between Alinghi and the Wave Muscat, and SAP and Red Bull Sailing waiting to pounce if those two made a mistake. Well, this is what's happened during the day, if you've just joined us. The Wave Muscat are the form team, and they are now out ahead. They are in the lead. Second place, it's equal there between SAP Extreme Sailing and Alinghi, but Red Bull Sailing are still in the game. So going into this final double points decider, the Wave Muscat have the advantage. They're on 219 points. Second, Alinghi SAP are stuck right joined together on 209, and Red Bull Sailing, you know, they're still in it, 202. Double points, 16 points for a win in this, so anything could happen and add to the tension. Remember, these are professional sailors, this is their career. The breeze is agonizingly light. So you may have been consistently good in the good breeze throughout the weekend. Now you'll be worrying that the breeze could be turning into more of a lottery. All that hard work, all those 27 races that you've performed in, and now the breeze is almost shut down. Really, really difficult. Well, you've been in these sort of positions in races like this. What would you be doing if you were out there, Hannah?
Hoping, praying, wishing, I don't know. It's really tough out there. We've just heard it's so close at the top that, in fact, for Alinghi to win this event here in Cardiff, they need to put at least 4 boats between them and the current leaders, the Wave Muscat. That's what they've got to do. 4 boats between Alinghi and the Wave, but there are 100 other possibilities that could happen that involve SAP Extreme Sailing, that involve Red Bull, so it's everything to play for.
I've got race control in my ear. Phil Lawrence, the man in charge, is deliberating with his team. He's saying he may even be forced to shorten the race. The course will be the same as in the last race. We're giving it a go, he said. It's going to be tough. Well, there's no question about that. It will be a challenge.
Everything to play for here, though, Richard. This is it. This is what it comes down to. This is where a champion will be decided. The breeze is super light. There are a few puffs rolling down the course, and that is what Phil Lawrence is going to try and get this race underway in. But the teams must remember it is all about the start. It's about getting clear ahead at the start, getting some space, getting some air, and trying to get as far forward as possible.
Well, Hannah, we're getting familiar with this course. It is much closer to the crowd now, and it's over a much smaller area. So the race course for the finale is going to bring the sailors right into the crowd, right away from the start. Of course, stadium racing taking place in the heart of Cardiff.
We've got a start line that sits just in front of us here in the spectator area. The boats head upwind to a yellow mark and then across in front of us to a white gate. They then head back to that mark again, do a windward leeward back and forth before heading to the finish line. We may see a shortened course in this next race, but remember, this is the final race. This is it. This is where it counts. We're into a start sequence, 4 minutes to go.
Right, there'll be a lot of people with a nod in their stomach out there. Into the sequence, you're familiar with the music. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. The permutations are this. If the Wave Muscat win this race, they will be on the top of the podium and they will be celebrating as the British Round winners in the Extreme Sailing Series. If that's how it plays out, it will be between Alinghi and SAP. Who beats who for second place on the podium? But Red Bull Sailing could come and make things interesting. They're still close enough that they could walk away with a podium place. We'll be unraveling the scores as the race unfolds. 3 minutes. There is around 12 minutes of racing left in the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series.
3 minutes to go here. Richard is looking very light on the start line. There are a few patches of breeze rolling down, but it's going to be tough for these teams on the start line in this, which is arguably one of the most important races of the whole series. Not only is it the final race here in Cardiff, but there aren't many acts left to go in the Extreme Sailing Series, and it's tight at the top.
It is. France and Brazil, that's left. So the boats to look at as far as the battle at the front. The Wave Muscat. If you're looking from the shore or if you're looking at your screen, right a picture. Alinghi, the red and black sails, left a picture. And SAP with the yellow top of the sail. Oh, I've just heard from race control. Well, I can understand why he's made that decision. Phil Lawrence has displayed the AP. He said, look, I'm not carrying on with this. It's too light. It's not fair. I'm pressing pause.
For those of you that don't know what an AP is, it is our postponement flag here in the sailing world, so we are under postponement. There is very little breeze out there. We're going to hope for a gust or two to try and get this race underway, but for now, we want this to be fair, we want this to be good. So Phil Lawrence made the sensible decision of just having a short postponement.
Yeah, I mean, the decision he has to make is that there is a last race. It's a decider. The wind is now right on the edge of Phil Lawrence because it is professional sport. It's serious stuff. So he wants to be able to feel he can get a fair race in. That's the deliberations, that's the pressure he's under at the moment. And the sailors, well, Leigh McMillan and the Wave Muscat will be secretly hoping that the wind does fade away. That will guarantee him the championship win in Great Britain. But I think pretty much every boat will be, other boat will be looking for an opportunity to upgrade their performance. Looking right down Cardiff Bay, looking for signs of breeze around the area. The flags look fairly limp, don't they? Well, if you're new to this, you may be interested that there is an extraordinarily close battle between Leigh McMillan and Morgan Larson right at the top. Morgan Larson is an American sailor who is leading the tour overall going into this. You've got an indication of how this series works, but if you're watching on your phone or your tablet, let's just give you a little more on how the Extreme Sailing Series works. The moment there's more action, we'll be back.
All teams race identical 40-foot-long multi-hulls. They're fast, and closing speeds can be in excess of 100 kilometres an hour. With racing taking place on compact stadium courses, incidents can and do happen.
Trying to get now behind Team Extreme, they've hit them!
The boats are also extremely overpowered, so when the wind blows hard, they can capsize.
This is the Wave Muscat, they're over! Oh, the bows are bugging, the crews are clinging on. Oh, crash, the master's gone! Oh!
At each of the 8 Extreme Sailing Series event locations, around 30 races are held. Each lasts between 10 and 15 minutes. Teams must count every single race result. It's 10 points for a race win, 9 points for second, and so on. The team with the highest score at the end of the event wins.
So we're just waiting on the race committee at the moment. You can see it's very soft out on the water. We're going to try and get a final race underway, but we are in the hands of the wind gods at the moment. So the boats are staying close to the start line. They know something can happen any minute now.
Well, I've got some news for the sailors and for everyone who's here wondering, watching. And the news is the clock is ticking. 4:45 is the latest the finale can start. So there are 15 minutes left for the sailors to wait. In 15 minutes, Leigh McMillan's Wave Muscat could be champions. And any chance of other boats to actually overtake in the final will be over. The breeze needs to improve. Oh, big call coming from race control. The race director has made a decision, and his decision is, in 1 minute, he's going to try and start the race. Well, the emotions must be going up and down on the water for these guys and girls.
It's really tough for them out there. They've got to try and stay in the zone. They've got to keep the mentality going that there will be a race. Right now, it's looking like there will be. We're going to go into a sequence, as Richard said, in just a few seconds' time. Let's see if the breeze holds out.
Yeah, I mean, just because the race control have decided to go that, they don't have to execute the whole sequence. There is a little breeze now. But here we go, in the countdown.
4, 3, 2, 1. AP is down.
Okay, it's 4 minutes to the start of the race. You must think, Phil Lawrence is thinking, well, I've got to do something.
Yeah, he's got a tough job to do. It's a very fine line between providing fair, honest, good, competitive racing for the teams out there, but yet not disappointing us here on the crowd. We want that final race. We want to know who is crowned champion. If we don't get a race underway, it will be decided on the results from the previous races. At the moment, it's close, Richard.
It really is. The Wave Muscat, though, have extended a lead. They're on equal points at the top of the table. Now 2:19, Alinghi 2:09, SAP 2:09. So really, the British led Omani team just need to stay out in front, clear ahead of Alinghi SAP. Job done. They'll wrap up today as leaders. Alinghi and SAP could still win this, and Red Bull Sailing could still get a podium place. Okay, 3 minutes to go to the start of the race. Well, is race controller going ahead with this sequence, and there will be some real tense people out there. Because now, you're trying to avoid it becoming just a lottery, but barely moving now out on the racetrack.
Yeah, part of being a sailor is being able to race in all sorts of conditions. You might be looking at this and thinking, why are they bothering? Well, I can tell you this is some of the toughest conditions these guys will ever have to race in. Doesn't make it any less boring, just makes it a little slower.
I can see those three boats, Hannah, right up the top. We've got SAP with the yellow top to sail, Alinghi with the two-tone blue, and Red Bull. Well, there are 3 of the 4 in the battle for the podium. They're locked next to each other. We're coming down to 2 minutes before the start, and literally, you get something wrong out there, you could just stop. 2 minutes. So race control are still trying to proceed. There is just enough breeze. On the Wave Muscat, they unfurl the Jenica. Is there enough breeze? Yeah, there is just enough breeze.
There's a little bit of dark water coming down towards the start line, Richard. That might be some more air. I think that's what race director Phil Lawrence is looking at. That's what he wants for our teams.
Yeah, I can feel it on my face now. I can feel on my face, I'm sure those here can feel the same. Just a zephyr of breeze is coming through. I'm not sure. They may have to shorten this race, but I think, remember that to win this, Alinghi or SAP have to put 4 boats between them and the Wave Muscat. I'm liking the look of the Wave Muscat. It's coming up to 1 minute to go to the start.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 minute.
I'm looking
1 minute now. Now the agony is you've got momentum. You slow down, can you get it back again?
Well, you don't want to be early, exactly, Richard, because then you won't get your pace going. Wave Muscat looking nice. For me, Alinghi look a little buried right now behind Team Wales Land Rover and behind GAC Pindar. They look a little late, they look a little slow, just 40 seconds to go.
Well, they certainly do. 34 seconds to go. I really didn't think this race was going to take place, but the breeze has arrived in Wales. Alinghi are coming in. You said they were buried and you were right, but they've done something about it. Suddenly Alinghi have gone right from the back looking out of the game, and they've sailed themselves into it. They've got their Jenica up as well. 15 seconds to the start, and now suddenly the boats have gone faster than they wanted, and they're zigzagging and trying to slow down. 9 seconds to go. This is the championship decider.
3, 2, 1. Line clear.
Line is clear. Everybody is behind the line when it starts. It's all good. No one has to go back. Alinghi on the far right. They've got a lot of work to do. SAP Extreme on the far left. The Wave in the middle. There are 3 top dogs here. Who's going to get to that first mark first? It's the yellow one that they're going for.
I'm liking the look of the Wave Muscat, but I've got an eye on Alinghi. So the Wave Muscat are pointing straight at the mark, and you can just see the ripples from the front of their boat. They are moving the quickest. Stay like this, Leigh McMillan will be a champion. Oh, this is tense now. Can Alinghi get through? They're looking buried.
Oh, the problem is with Alinghi, they're stuck underneath China Spirit at the moment. You can see their Jenica not quite full. The GAC Pindar in front of them as well. This is going to be bad for Alinghi. This is going to be good for the Wave Muscat.
Well, they've got China behind, they've got Switzerland too, but for the British skipper, Leigh McMillan, I'm sure there's plenty of British support here. That's a huge first 120 metres. And the Wave Muscat have taken the lead. Stay like that, they're going to win the championships here. Oh, that's a beautiful mark rounding. The breeze has just increased. Well, that's exactly what Leigh McMillan was wanting. And from his perspective, he looks back and he sees Alinghi, just as Hannah said, trapped back of the pack. SAP are back there. From the Wave Muscat's perspective, this is a perfect beginning.
They've got a lovely little bit of pressure just here off the shore, extending that lead all the time. Meanwhile, their closest rivals, Alinghi and SAP, buried at the back and not moving.
They're heading down towards those 2 white marks. If it stays like this, this is race 28. Leigh McMillan and the Wave Muscat will walk away as champions. Remember, this breeze could shut down in an instant. China are a second. Real Team third. Team Wales Land Rover fourth. The significance as I run down these boats is none of them are the podium contenders, and 2 that are, in fact the 3 that are right at the back of the pack. But now the Wave Muscat, the 2-tone blue sails, have got a huge challenge because they're ahead. But look, they've got an armada of boats heading down, and they've got to weave their way through that fleet. One mistake, they could be in trouble, and they could see what is a winning position slide away.
Yeah, the Wave Muscat, they know what little breeze there is here, they know where it is, and it's right here next to us on the shore. The next mark they're heading to is the green triangular one.
I can see some drama here though, Hannah. I don't know if you agree, because Leigh McMillan is coming in close to the shore, and the wind could be lighter here. As you look down the boats that chose the other side of the course, is there more breeze down there? Well, for Leigh McMillan, this is an anxious moment. He's going to tack. It's all looking good. He's in the lead now, but is there enough breeze on this side of the racecourse? He's now got to keep clear of Alinghi, his greatest rival. They're some way back. Well,
the big decisions these teams have to make is whether they stay inshore or whether they go offshore. I do think there's actually more breeze here inshore, and the course to get to that green buoy, Richard, is a little bit shorter. The distance is a little bit shorter. Right now, I think the Wave, although they're not pointing as high, they're looking strong here.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a moment of slight anxiousness for Leigh McMillan. Quick glance over the side, then he popped out of that corner where he could have got trapped. And he used the expression of the day, all good.
Yeah, definitely all good for Leigh McMillan right now, looking pretty strong. He's got one more tack to make before he can head into that green mark. The breeze is holding out. It's looking like we will finish this race. This, the last race of the day, the decider. And Leigh McMillan currently in the leading position, looking strong.
Let's just have a look at the SAP analytics and see how it's playing out. It's saying that the Wave Muscat, they have got a 57 metres advantage over their closest rivals on the podium. That's SAP. And SAP at the moment are in a battle with Alinghi. Let's just remind you of that one, because whoever comes first, they will secure second place, whoever beats who out of those two.
The good news out there, though, Richard, at the moment is the analytics is saying that there's a closely fought battle at the moment, but looking like they are in control of second place. Are there any Welsh fans here? Because, yes, it's Team Wales Land Rover looking after second position at the moment. Can they hang on to that? What a great way to end their
that's second
event.
position, of course, in the final race, but not in the overall scores, but absolutely right. We've got the Wave Muscat sliding round the top mark. It is, yeah, a great performance for Wales in this race, but for Leigh McMillan, he's defended that lead and extended. You, I think, could be watching the champion of the British round. He will be saying to his crew, don't listen to that, we're not yet. Anything could change. But what he's done is he's extended. Impressive that, isn't it? When there's hardly any wind at all, to have that much difference in boat speed.
Yeah, really.
Now we'll just watch Leigh McMillan come through. We'll leave Leigh, and there he is now, chewing gum. He's smiling, listening to the commentary. But he's not really, because he is focused. There's an element of risk that I guess he's feeling, because when you get this far out in front, in conditions like this, if the Wave Muscat sail into a hole of no wind, it's visible for everyone behind, and suddenly you can sit there and your world can fall apart. So they're doing perfectly, but they'll be more than aware that things could all go wrong if winds just shut down on them.
Yeah, they really need to keep their wits about them, keep sailing their own race. But an interesting situation developing further back. We've got Red Bull rounding in second position at the moment, Richard. If the situation stays like this, they will beat Alinghi to third place, to that final podium position.
Yeah, it's getting really close up there, isn't it, between all of them? And there's that battle. SAP are squeezing on the inside of Alinghi, which would put them ahead of Alinghi in the overalls. And that would upgrade them to second overall. Red Bull are in there in the mix at the moment, but at the moment, SAP could be second overall. Complicated game, isn't it? Difficult to sail as well. So the Wave Muscat now, well away from that scrap a little further back, but more than aware that the wind now is starting to shut down. Oh, SAP and just ahead of Alinghi. Red Bull are fighting for second. Just joined us, this is the final race. The Wave Muscat at the moment look comfortable in the lead. They will be champions of this round.
But like in the last time, Richard, they've got difficult things to navigate here. They are inshore, they are where the breeze is, but as is everybody else. They're coming through on a port tack, they've got no right of way. They need to be careful they don't get caught up in the melee of boats heading down to that gate. Leigh McMillan on the Wave Muscat is heading back to that green mark to make his final approach down to the finish line.
Yeah, I can see an interesting situation here, because Alinghi are on a different leg, but they could potentially be on collision course with the Wave Muscat. And that is absolutely not what Leigh McMillan wants. So we've got Leigh McMillan just sliding ahead.
Yeah, Alinghi,
generous sailing there.
Alinghi could have caused all sorts of trouble for the Wave Muscat, but right now that is not where their fight is. Their fight is with SAP Extreme.
Yeah, sporting behaviour by Alinghi there. But Leigh McMillan now is heading up out of that dangerous corner, where a combination of a crowded racecourse and lack of wings is a nail-biting experience. And they are now heading up towards the green mark. Okay, it may be slow motion, but at the moment we have got SAP and Alinghi. Who beats who will finish ahead overall in the battle that's probably for second place. We're having a constant look at the results. The moment SAP are in second, but to keep that, they've got to keep Alinghi behind them. And I'm not sure. I think they, yeah, I am now. I think they're just going to squeeze on the inside. This would be their best ever result if they could do that.
This is really tough, Richard, because right now Alinghi want to choose this mark closer to us, but they also want to sail ahead of SAP. SAP, though, are on the inside, which puts them in a stronger position. Alinghi's choice is now either sail around the outside of them or pick the other mark, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go for that other white mark. They're going to spin the dice. SAP are going with them. Wow.
Oh, so SAP now are in the exhaust. They're just behind Alinghi. There's only 1 metre in it, 28 races, 1 metre between them. And the Wave Muscat, if I'll just stay with Alinghi and the SAP, because that battle there, the wind has shifted, as Hannah said. They're both using sails you'd expect to use for the wind behind, and the wind has changed completely.
Extraordinary scenes here in Cardiff. This, the final race of this act of the Extreme Sailing Series. It is all to play for. Meanwhile, we're looking at the Wave Muscat, who are making their final approach, the last leg of the last race here. They're in the controlling position. They went into this race in the top spot. They are going to finish this race in the top spot.
Yeah, well, look at this. Here comes the Wave Muscat in the end. They had a super start. They got into the lead. They simply went for the most direct route to that top mark. They sailed the shortest distance, and then they got away from the pack. There were some moments of anxiety, but it's not just been about this race. It's been about 28 races. Leigh McMillan is sitting down. No, he's not. He's standing up. And he's coming down here with most of the crew so far forward. They're almost off the boat. And he's got a very difficult final maneuver here as he stands up, crouches down. But the Wave Muscat, the country of Oman, who are so proud of this team, there he is. That's his wave to the crowd. In 4 days in Wales, it's a British skipper leading an Omani team to victory. Hugs on board the boat. That is victory in the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series for Leigh McMillan. What an outstanding performance.
It was second here last year in Cardiff. He's gone one better today. He is the champion of Cardiff Bay. Leigh McMillan, the British skipper, on board the Wave Muscat. But we still have plenty of exciting racing out on the course for you right now. The battle for second and third still continues. And yeah, it is being played out a long way offshore. It's between the Swiss boat of Alinghi and the gold and white Danish sails of SAP Extreme.
Yeah, we're just enjoying those celebrations. Look, the team, there's been plenty of tense, quiet agony for them in these conditions today. This is their reason for celebrate. There'll be plenty of celebrations later on board the boat. But out on the water now, who is going to finish second overall? SAP's race has gone from good to moderate to bad. Alinghi are doing a good recovery. They passed just ahead of Red Bull Sailing, who were up for an upset at the beginning of this race. And Alinghi at the moment, they may not be leading, they may not be second, but they're doing enough at the moment to finish runners-up here in Britain.
Yeah, great sailing here from Morgan Larson and his team. It wasn't looking too sharp at the start line, but they've hung on in there all the way round. And right now, as things stand at the moment, this is looking good for the Swiss team.
Well, I'm sure that the Wave Muscat will be brought round to give everyone here the chance to congratulate their performance. Prize giving, they'll be on the top of the podium here. Come and be part of the atmosphere, make some of the atmosphere here tonight of the celebrations. That's at 5:30 here, right in front of the finish line. But let's focus back on the boats and the teams who are going to make those podium places. Real team from Switzerland coming down towards the finish. Wales are having a good final race as well. Land Rover Team Wales.
Yeah, great sailing from them. Really nice end to what has been a very steep learning curve for these boys, but they perform well in front of their home crowd here in Cardiff.
There has been, and if you're here today and you weren't here earlier on when there was more breeze, this programme, after we've seen all the boats cross the line and the final podium place has been decided, we're going to play you some of the earlier racing when the breeze was up and when the hulls were flying.
So these boats making their final approach down for the finish line. Real Team and Alinghi pushing it all the way into the dock in front of our spectators here before jibing over for the finish line. The breeze is dying all the time. This is a race against time to get to the finish line.
Well, you've got to feel for Phil Lawrence because he made that decision, and I think he's going to get his race in. That was a big call to make because it looked like the breeze has shut down at the start. The breeze arrived, but they got 20 minutes or so to finish the race because there is a time limit in every race. But Real Team from Switzerland, they're used to conditions like this on the Swiss lakes. Behind them, though, fellow Swiss team Alinghi, and they're going to come in and secure second place. Well done, Alinghi. Tour leaders coming in here. They've been good to watch, provided plenty of entertainment. Thank you to Anna Tunnicliffe on the bow. Alinghi, 2 more races. I think the battle at the top of this table is going to go all the way to Brazil. Morgan Larson, Alinghi, congratulations. 3rd place in this race, 2nd overall. Well, here's a team that deserve real applause. SAP Racing, the new boys in 2012. In 2013, they said, we're going to deliver more. Here they come, young team. Already made many friends here in Cardiff, Wales. Today was all about just what could they do. Well, they've got their 3rd podium position of the season. They've been inciting to watch, and as the gun is just about to go, even agonisingly slow as they finish. SAP Extreme Sailing, 3rd overall. Well, China Spirit, they're coming down, so the podium places have been decided. The Wave Muscat are winners. Alinghi, they do finish 2nd. SAP Extreme Sailing, they're on the podium yet again. I'm sure if it comes to the end of the season when they secure that podium place, they will be very satisfied indeed. October the 3rd, October is when the Extreme Sailing Series is back in action in Nice. You can watch that live, extremesailingseries.com. Red Bull Sailing now, chasing the Chinese Spirit down to the finish. Congratulations, China. Impressive debut on the tour. We'll be seeing more of China Spirit. And the Austrian team, Red Bull Sailing, just squeeze in front of the Welsh team. 2 boats to finish. Team Wales, Land Rover, I'd like to say we've been to Oman and Muscat, we've been to Singapore, we've been to China, we've been to Portugal, but the welcome that we've had in Wales, the facilities of Cardiff Bay, and the support from everyone down here is hugely appreciated. This is a special place to come to. The sailors love it. We appreciate it. To all of you here and to all of you who've come to support it, thank you. You've been a huge support to the series. Congratulations, Team Wales Land Rover.
Go the moment this boat ends. Alex, if you want me to talk into it, you tell me.
One more boat to finish, and I'm sure the finish couldn't come soon enough. GAC Pinder, no shortage of talent on board. The team haven't sailed so much as a unit. Certainly had their moments here, but look now, the crew wait as far forward as they can as they come down towards the finish to complete the Extreme Sailing Series British Round. GAC Pinder, a just little gust as they come down to cross the line. And that concludes the Extreme Sailing Series. Congratulations to all. Well, that breeze just about held until the end of the day. Just got that final racing. Close though, wasn't it? So a reminder of the scores. Celebrations very soon for the prize giving. So in third place, SAP Extreme Sailing, just 2 points behind second place Alinghi. It couldn't have been closer. Equal points going into that last race. But the winners here in Great Britain for the British round of the Extreme Sailing Series, the Wave Muscat. Well, their sails are already down. They'll be coming ashore. The Norwegian church here, just by the finish line, is where the prize giving will take place. Well, if you've been enjoying the Extreme Sailing Series, we've got some more racing to show you, because earlier in the day today there was more breeze. It wasn't sailing in slow motion. So let's wind the clock back to race 22, where of course the podium places were wide open. Enjoy these races from earlier on this afternoon.
Now looking at the course, Richard, SAP, as you said, a fantastic start for them. They're heading down to that white gate. Remember, they can choose to go around either the left-hand mark or the right-hand mark. The only rule is they have to go inside out. SAP now furling away their Genico, choosing the left-hand mark, which they're leaving on the left-hand side of the boat. But it's the defending champions, the Wave Muscat and Leigh McMillan, hot on their heels. The left-hand side of this race course really paying off. We can see that from those results.
Yeah, one thing to remember is the boats are going to come right here in front of the crowd. Often in sailing, the boats start the race and they head out into open ocean over the horizon. This is stadium racing and they stay close to shore. In the heavy winds, it's hard because the courses are so short and the boats are so fast. But in these tactical winds, real skill test. And now heading towards the crowd is the Danish team, SAP. They've got a lead of 18 metres. If you've got your smartphone here, go to the Extreme Sailing Series app. You can follow it live on video on your phone. But at the moment, Denmark lead. Second, defending champions. Leigh McMillan is the British skipper, signed by the Omani team, the Wave Muscat. And behind, Alinghi, Swiss team. So we have Denmark, Oman, Switzerland and New Zealand, the Kiwis behind. This really is a wealth of international talent. And SAP, big cheer now from the crowd as they come round to this mark. SAP getting themselves ready for the bear away. Carl, this is, now you see the white there, white sail being hoisted. That will turbocharge the power.
Yes, it will, Richard. Watch them as they unravel it. That's the sail they use when they sail downwind away from the wind. SAP doing a nice unfurl there. They need to get it in, and they're heading back down to that white gate, remember.
They're in third at the moment overall. Target today is to walk away from Great Britain as champions. Can they do that? Well, they've got to beat both boats that are behind them. Good story between these two boats. The blue sails there. Leigh McMillan on equal points. The Wave Muscat with a Lingy just behind. There's a Switzerland-Oman battle, and there's a real head-to-head between two skippers who know how to get under each other's skin. Morgan Larson knows how to wind up Leigh McMillan, the man in the blue sail boat. Their battles can get pretty intense. Will they today?
Let's just spare a thought for Team Wales Land Rover. They had a lovely clean start on the right-hand side of the line. They chose the other mark at the other end, but it's been softer on the right-hand side of that course, Richard, and they're really feeling that now. Both them and Red Bull really paying the price for that choice.
They are, and what often happens, is in these races, if you get a little bit of space between you and the boat behind, clear air, no other boat is disturbing your wind, and out in the lead, oh, look at that, the Danish team just lifting the hull, flying a hull, and heading downwind. They've got better breeze, beautiful sailing there, up on one hull, and they're furling the Jenica. Really is very close today, the racing.
It really is, yes, but they've had a lovely gust down that. And look, they're round the bottom mark already. Some of the teams still yet to round this top mark as the breeze dies right up here by the top of the bay. China Spirit, they're going around the top mark next to all the spectators on the shore. They're in 6th position at the moment, ahead of Austria, Red Bull, and of course the home team, Team Wales Land Rover.
And for those of you watching right by the sailing up at the top mark, it's very crowded. We've got Red Bull sailing. 2 double Olympic gold medalists on board. Land Rover, this is Team Wales. Big home support for this team. Brand new for this event. And they're mixing it with world and Olympic champions. Team Wales round just behind Red Bull sailing. Well, you can see these are the tail enders in this short, compact fleet. And if you're a tail ender in this fleet, you're likely to be a world champion or Olympic medalist. Such is the competition. And the boats you can see coming up towards the top mark, yeah, SAP Extreme Sailing, they are still leading. But the two-tone blue sail of Oman, the Wave Muscat, defending champions, they think there's more breeze nearer the shore. They're sneaking up on the inside. Now look at the animations here, the SAP analytics, and that's telling us that the gap has closed from 47 metres to 18.
It really has. And this, remember, the penultimate leg, all they have to do is round this yellow triangular mark, and it is a short sprint to the finish line. The breeze is soft up here, Richard. This is where the dice get rolled. This is where things can really turn around. But SAP, a little bit of acceleration coming up to this mark now. Can they hang on?
Can they? The breeze has got lighter. No movement on board. Rock the boat, it slows down, but SAP just got enough wind to get round there. Gently unfurl the big, powerful Jenica. And this is where it's all coming to a head here as SAP coming. Well, what a start for the team. Oh, look at that gust as the hull out of the water. Raise their hand in acknowledgement. Well, they wanted to start today with a win. That's what they said to me just before they went on the water. That is what they've delivered. And look at this, the Wave Muscat, Great Britain's Leigh McMillan on the helm, flying a hull. It is second for the Wave Muscat. Well, I've got a funny feeling that the top 3 in this race may well be the top 3 that are fighting it out for British honours here at the British leg of the Extreme Sailing Series, who just come from Middle East, China, Singapore and Portugal. We're off to France and Brazil to complete this World Championship. Like Formula One, we go around some of the best venues in the world. Wales won the bid. Cardiff Bay selected as delivering some of the best sailing stadium racing in Great Britain. Bit slow for a Lingy as they approach the finish.
Very slow for a Lingy. Remember, this is the 3rd team currently lying in the top 3 overall here in Cardiff, and they are about to become the 3rd place in this race today. Just 2 points separate the top 3 teams here in Cardiff. and Alinghi the third team. Here they come. They've got enough distance between them and GAC Pindar behind them. So Morgan Larsen and his team, representing Switzerland, come across to take third place. They were first overall going into racing today. They won't be anymore, but there's a lot of racing yet to go this afternoon.
Well, there we are, Alinghi in third. Update on the leaderboard is the young guns from Denmark, who wanted that win so much at the beginning of the day, have upgraded from third to second. This will be big news at home in Denmark if they can keep that roll going and walk away as victory. Never done that before. GAC Pindar just behind Alinghi, real team in fifth. And now, predictably, some of the teams brand new to the tour, including China Spirit. Red Bull Sailing, a surprise disappointment for one of the world's finest sailing teams. Well, they want to end on a high before they board their transatlantic airliner and head to San Francisco tomorrow. The Red Bull Youth America's Cup. The man steering is steering that as well out in San Francisco. Team Wales about to cross the line. I think a little bit of local support for Team Wales. Brand new team. You started to deliver yesterday. What can you do today? There is always home advantage. I hope you're listening, guys.
Team Wales, an interesting move for them. They decided to split from the fleet on the start line. It was a big gamble. It could have very easily paid off for them. I like their style here. They're taking the big guys on and they're trying to make it work for them. It didn't work in this race, but watch this space, Team Wales Land Rover.
Well, we're just about to head into the next race. What happens now? It's a chance for race control to assess the course. On board the boats, dehydrated already, these guys. There'll be energy drinks, fuel for the sailors. Now, if you want to watch the coverage that's going around the world, look on your smartphone, download extremesailing.com or download the app. Do it right now, and you will see the story of one of the greatest rivalries in sailing. This is a story between Leigh McMillan, skipper of Wave, and Morgan Larsen, the skipper of Alinghi. Their intensity runs deep.
The way they act on the shore, you'd never know. Friends shooting the breeze at the end of a day on the water.
Yeah, and Red Bull, they're both firing it in there. I didn't realise Red Bull had, I mean, I saw them, I guess they did.
A year ago, they each skippered one of the two Omani entries. Morgan Larsen in charge of Oman Air, Leigh McMillan, the Wave Muscat. Larsen won in Cardiff last year, but arrives here this time steering for Alinghi. And the two skippers are once again locked in a battle at the top.
We were partners, I guess, last year. You know, the two Omani boats, and you know, we worked together on and off the water. You know, racing was a little bit different. We were, you know, trying to beat them, and we didn't really do any favors to each other on the race course.
It's helpful and it's a hindrance at the same time. You know, he's an aggressive sailor, and he likes to get involved in boat on boat, and we tend to kind of sail our own race a bit more. So maybe every now and then we lose kind of touch of just actually focusing on our own race, which is what we like to do. But yeah, it's you know, it's an intense rivalry, and being friends off the water and massive rivalries on the water can take its toll sometimes. In Porto, we had the upper hand, and you know, he's pushing hard and protesting and trying to kind of get some decisions kind of going against us. And you know, there's a few little games kind of like that, which you know, kind of can ruffle our feathers, and you know, it's an effort to try and put us off our game a little bit.
I'd like to say that we know what buttons to push. We're learning, you know, his team and how they react to different situations. But I tell you, you get them mad and they turn around and they start winning races. So Leigh is definitely an emotional guy, and you know, he does wear his heart on his sleeve, and he puts it out there, and that's why he's so successful.
Yeah, that was big. Did you see it?
We hit him pretty good there yesterday.
He's a relaxed, generally kind of a relaxed sailor, and I think when you know, the pressure is really on, then you know, we kind of sometimes can come through in those situations. But you know, it's very hard to pick any faults in his kind of armoury. You know, he's an extremely talented sailor, and you know, to be honest, we're looking pretty hard to find where his weaknesses are.
When it's lighter and shiftier, I think that often they get a little bit, you know, out of phase tactically at times. So I guess lighter, shiftier conditions would be the opportunity for us.
We're 2 days down, and we're all very close, but certainly, potentially, we haven't sailed as well as we normally do, and Alinghi, have lost a few points that they normally wouldn't as well. So SAP and Red Bull are right in the mix. They sailed very well today.
I think we have to be careful of that. You get too tangled up, and there's great competitors out here, and they're going to pounce on you.
It is an intriguing contest, and the risk to both McMillan and Larson is real, because those just behind are improving fast, and if Alinghi and the Wave Muscat get too consumed with each other, their battle may take place further down the leaderboard.
Well, that's the battle, if you're watching on your smartphone or watching at home, between Leigh McMillan. He is the skipper of the Wave Muscat, dark blue and light blue sails. And we'll look at the scoreboard, because life went pretty well for him yesterday. He, at the moment, is in second place because SAP Extreme Sailing Team have taken the lead. So the yellow sails of SAP, led by 2 Danish sailors, are on top. They have never won one of these events before. Brand new into this tour last year. It would be a big moment for Danish sailing if they could win the British round of this championship. So SAP, the boat to watch. The Wave Muscat, the defending champions, are 1 point behind. And also 1 point behind is Alinghi, 174. So just 1 point between the top 3 boats. Red Bull Extreme Sailing in fourth, faded just a little in that race. At the moment, the battle for the podium is between 3 boats. That's for the top, but more than 6 boats have still got an outside chance of getting involved. A little bit about the personality and the way the boats sail. SAP Sailing, with the yellow top of the sail, young team, predominantly Danish. They've got a British sailor, Pete, coming on board. They sail boldly, bravely. They make big decisions. They take risks. When it's windy, they're often on the edge. You wonder if they're going to capsize, but they haven't yet. Exciting team to watch. They are leading overall, Extreme Sailing. The Wave Muscat, they're right towards the festival end of the bay at the moment. Defending champions, Omani sailors on board. The Oman sails, sponsored by the government of Oman, plus local commercial support. It's a Middle East nation which is on a journey to promote sailing. Leigh McMillan won the tour last year as a sailor, aggressive, heart on his sleeve. Sometimes you see him lose it completely. Often he comes back after those moments with a victory. They're boat number 2. Number 3 is Alinghi, and they're just turning in front of the top end of where the crowds are here, in front of the VIP area. Alinghi, a Swiss team with an American skipper, Morgan Larson. Gentle character when you meet him, effective on the race course. Quieter than Leigh McMillan, but he knows how to press the buttons to wind up the Wave Muscat when he has to. Alinghi were leading this series going into this event. Strong team. And talking to Morgan Larson yesterday, said there's a good atmosphere on boat. Very impressed with new signing for this event, Anna Tunnicliffe. 9th fittest woman in the world. That's the strapline. That's where she finished in the cross games. You can see her sitting on the back of the red and black sails of Alinghi. She won an Olympic gold medal in Beijing, a new addition to the Alinghi crew. So that's the top 3, SAP Extreme Sailing, Wave Muscat and Alinghi. Race control, I've just been speaking to, they're telling us that they're going to go into a sequence in a few minutes. Breeze is still just about holding up, Hannah.
Yeah, the breeze is okay. We've had a little bit of a shift. The forecast has been for it to go right all afternoon, and that is what it's doing. So we've had a little bit of a change to the course. For those of you watching from the land, you will be delighted to see that the start line is a lot closer to you. The start line still between the black triangular mark, which is just in front of the hotel on the other side of the shore, and the white and blue powerboat just situated here. So the start is very short. The line is very short. The pre-start area is tiny. They're then heading up the bay, and I will talk you through the course as they go. It's a little bit complicated, but that is the course for this afternoon. The breeze a little bit lighter, but we've still got enough to sail. Remember, super tight at the top of the table between those top 3 teams. who will be able to keep going through this next race. The conditions are changing all the time. The teams have really got to keep their wits about them. So getting underway in just a few minutes, you'll see the race committee just laying the final few marks. The other end of the starting line just being laid over by the St David's Hotel on the far side of the bay. As soon as that's done, we'll be getting into a sequence. 4 minutes will be the sequence time for our teams to get ready. And then up the bay they are heading. First mark is the red triangular in the middle of the bay. They're going to be leaving that on the right-hand side of the boat. That is their first mark today.
Well, there we go. We've got a course again for your smartphones and your television, but heading down to the bottom of the racetrack, back up right in front of the crowd, back down to the Cardiff Bay, 2 courses, and then up and round to finish just in front of the commentary position. Okay, we've got the Enoch start clock just under the just by the commentary box. When that starts, it's a 4-minute countdown. If you're new to sailing competition, the way you start a sailing race is on a liquid racetrack, and it's just timing your run to the start. The clock counts down, and if you cross the line as the gun goes at the fastest speed, that's the best start. You'll watch how good these sailors are. If you get that wrong and you're over the line, you have to turn 180 degrees, go back and recross. So critical in these short races, which are around about 10 minutes long, that you get that right.
Yeah, a very important part of the race. Races are definitely won and lost on the start line, but here in Cardiff Bay, it's a very short course, so it's not over till it's over. We saw a casing point of that yesterday with the Wave Muscat starting late, but crawling their way back up the fleet and actually taking a race victory. We've just heard from race committee that they will be getting into a sequence very, very shortly. Fabulous pictures of Cardiff Bay here, Richard.
Yeah, we have, and we're looking at the Wave Muscat. They are a team that dominated this tour last year. Pete Greenhalgh's there, the British sailor, sitting next to Leigh McMillan. And we're seeing on our cameras now, the crew looks very relaxed, body language. Really now it's all about not using up energy. You sailed these boats, Hannah. I mean, it looks fairly tranquil from the shore, but that's an absolutely artificial impression to the reality that there is.
Well, the reality is that they're sailing big boats with not many people on board around a really hectic short course. I mean, some of these courses can be up to 12, 13 legs in length, and that's over a time of 12, 15 minutes. So there's a huge amount for these guys to do, and they're exhausted by the time they get on the shore. Plus, they've got to keep an eye out. It's a very small area. They've got a lot of boats around. There's a lot to keep looking at. There's a lot to think about. And, of course, they've got to win as well.
Well, now the sailors are enjoying just a little more breeze that has filled in. Stronger breeze earlier. Some forecasts, just listening to what's happening down the coast, that there is breeze around. So looking forward to that staying to the end of this afternoon. Prize giving is at 5:30. Remember, this is important. Careers are at stake out here. These are professionals. This is their job. Looks quite appealing, doesn't it? But they tour the world, but fitness critical. I was up early this morning today. A lot of the sailors I saw coming back from gym sessions soon after 6 o'clock. And some of these sailors have got other projects. There are many Olympians out there today heading for Rio, they hope, in 2016, including some British potential Olympians on board Land Rover Team Wales. Many of those out on this race course have already excelled in the Olympic arena. World champions out here as well, but it's important for them winning this. If you win, your currency goes up, and in simple terms, you earn more. You're more valuable next year, and in the close season, that's where there are signings between teams. Morgan Larson on board Alinghi. Well, last year he came second overall, a name that was creating a great deal of interest. This year he was signed by Alinghi, and he's doing a good job for the Swiss team.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Coming down to 3 minutes to the start of the next race.
2, 1. Hey guys, just for
So 3 minutes, Hannah. It's all about timing now. We've got a slightly different start line.
Yeah, we thought the starting area in the last race was tight, Richard, but this is even tighter. They've got very, very little room to maneuver the right-hand side of the starting line. It's all up against the pontoons. Fantastic for all the crowds on the shore. Everyone doing their shopping, everyone stopping as they walk past here in Cardiff Bay. But tricky for these 8 teams. There's a lot of boats and there's not much space.
2 minutes and 20 seconds to go to the start. We'll remind you again of where that start line is in a moment or two, but it has moved back into an even more confined area. The motorboat with all the flags on, and the buoy the other side, the conical buoy the other side of Cardiff Bay, just under the hotel, by the hotel. And those of you watching this on screen can see where that start line is. So the challenge here, Hannah, is there's very little space behind the line and it's difficult to get much of a run-up.
And that's the thing, in light airs like this, it's not like horse racing when the horses are stationary when they start. This is about having pace and being on the line at the start, going as quickly as possible. For these guys, as you say, Richard, their run-up is very, very short. Positioning here is going to be key. Not getting buried under a load of other boats is going to be key.
Right, 3 things to watch for. Land Rover Team Wales, debut, first ever sail here, first ever competition in this tour. They are world class, but they're new as a team. Can they make an impact on the fleet this time? Let's go to the front now. SAP Extreme Sailing are leading overall. Can they stay there? The Wave Muscat and Alinghi, second equal overall. Right, we're in the final countdown now, so it's all about staying behind the boat with all the flags and the conical buoy underneath in the shadows of the St David's Hotel. You stay behind there. If you go in front, if you get it wrong, you've got to recross the line if you do that before the gun's gone. The yellow sail of SAP keeping clear of trouble. Land Rover, Team Wales Land Rover at the far end of the line. Oh, they could cause a problem for the new leaders. They're turning just in front of them.
Yeah, all of this is umpired on the water by our team, so you'll see flags flying, you'll see whistles blowing. But this is it. The countdown is on. 15 seconds to go. The Wave Muscat coming in behind some of the other teams with pace. Is there room for them to slip in? If there is, then they're going to have a nice start there, Richard. The line is going to be clear.
Line clear, as you said, Hannah, and Wave Muscat got that absolutely spot on. They came in with momentum. They had speed as they crossed the line. Look at the crew as far forward as they can be on the boat, keeping the back of the boat out of the water, reducing friction. You can see the back of the boat's a little bit out of the water. Less friction equals more speed. And Leigh McMillan, the defending champion from 2012, is out of the blocks, and it's a super start. But there's a big story here because the boat they're sharing second place with overall is yet to cross the line. Alinghi, second overall, and tour leaders going into this event are crossing the line just now. They have got an enormous job to do. He'll be bitterly disappointed, Morgan Larson.
Yeah, the Wave Muscat looking really strong in that position. We'll find out what happened on Alinghi. Maybe they misjudged the situation. Maybe they got stuck with no breeze. Who knows? But right now, it's all about the leaders. Leigh McMillan on board the Wave Muscat. It's the red triangular mark they are heading to, and they're going to leave that on the right-hand side of the boat and then turn 90 degrees, Richard. This is looking strong. And crucially for the Wave Muscat, both their 2 closest rivals are a long way down the pack.
They are, and they're coming to the first mark. This is Leigh McMillan's Wave Muscat. He's got some breathing space between him and the boat behind. Breeze is holding up, unfurling the Jenica, gives them more power as the angle goes away from the breeze. They can power along with that. But Team Wales are making an impression, and they're going to try and squeeze in. Can they get round in second place? Well, the home team, well, this is the best start they've had to a race. They were second in a race yesterday, but couldn't defend that. Can Wales defend it all the way to the finish this time? Another brand new team, China Spirit, just behind them. Well, it's a nice lineup. So that's the Wave Muscat, defending champions, lead. If they win here, they would take overall lead of the Tour. They've got the potential to do that. Team Wales in second. This would be their best result here in Wales if they can defend it. In third, China. Fourth, we've got GAC, a lot of Kiwis on board. And then Red Bull Sailing, looking at a podium place overall, but they're not doing well in this race. And right at the back, and that's the big surprise, Switzerland's Alinghi stalled on the start line, spluttered before they could get going, accelerated slowly. Can they get any places back? And this must be winding Morgan Larson up. His greatest rival is now 7 places ahead of him. Oh, this is a dream come true, this race for Leigh McMillan. There's a lot more racing to go this afternoon. But Millen is competing, keeping the momentum. It's hard if you slow down in these conditions, sometimes really difficult to get started again.
It's so hard to get started again. It's all about keeping the boat moving. Leigh McMillan, the Wave Muscat, doing a lovely job of that. They've got a little puff now. They're headed for the green mark this time. They're going to leave that on the left-hand side of the boat before heading back up to that white gate that they have just been round. So a little mini lap going on here, but interesting going on behind the Wave Muscat. We've got a battle between the new kids on the block, China Spirit and Team Wales Land Rover. And China Spirit just eking up, just closing up that gap a little bit between them and Team Wales Land Rover. But I think Land Rover will hold it around this mark. Let's see.
Yeah, they do appear to be defending that second position pretty confidently. So Leigh McMillan, Wave Muscat, rounds that mark. Second place overall for McMillan, but this could change that and put him into the overall lead. Him and his team, of course, Wave Muscat. And look at this, Wales started well, they're continuing to perform. This is a super start for the Welsh boat. Dave Evans and the team that he's put together for this event, pretty impressive. Many of those behind him have been playing this game for years and years. This is his 4th day racing on the Extreme Sailing Series World Tour. So Oman lead, Wales second, China third. And there's a real battle, isn't there, because we've got Red Bull Sailing, GAC Pinder full of Kiwis, and the overall leader at the moment, the yellow top of the sail, SAP. Right at the back, though, Alinghi looked like they might have made a place up.
They were very, very slow on that bottom mark, Richard. It really looked like they'd stopped, but both them and the other Swiss team, real team, fighting it out at the back of the boat. But we're on board with the guys at the front. Team Wales Land Rover and the Wave Muscat. Team Wales Land Rover doing a great job in this. This is their first event, and to be mixing it up with the best in the world, even lifting a hull out of water there, Richard.
Yeah, that's 1 and 2. The blue sails on the left, the Wave Muscat, the leaders. And you know what? Land Rover Team Wales, who we were concerned about defending second, they're doing that just fine. In fact, if anything, they're gaining on the leaders. So Dave Evans is putting together a super series here, and he rounds that bottom mark past the halfway stage in this race. Let's not speak too soon, but Wales could get a podium place in this race. They're eyeing second. Oh, he slows down a bit there as the boat tacks. Always in those manoeuvres. Nail biting before you get the momentum. The breeze comes back. There we go. And they're off again. You've really got to be careful going upwind as well, because you've got to stay closer to the wind of all those other boats, otherwise they take the wind away from your sails. But Wales are doing a good job of that.
They're doing a great job of that. They're coming up again to this green mark again. They're going to leave that on the left-hand side, head even closer to us on the shore around the yellow mark, and then to the finish line. So can Team Wales Land Rover hang on? I think they can.
Well, Leigh McMillan, overall lead, shared it coming into today's racing. Then SAP surprised the pack and leapfrogged them. Going into this, SAP Extreme Sailing with the new leaders. And the Wave Muscat now heading down towards completion of a job well done. Jenica out. Well, there are British skippers in 1 and 2 at the moment. Oh, how fitting that beautiful little gust of breeze just as they unfurled the Jenica. But the Wave Muscat, we've seen them really deliver on so many occasions on the final day. Leigh McMillan, he waves to the crowd.
Victory for the Wave Muscat, back on top of the fleet.
Great effort from them. They're performing so well this weekend, and that's exactly what they need just to pull out a small lead in the overall championship this year. But look at this, the new kids on the block, Team Wales Land Rover, young guys on board. These really are the future of professional sailing. Unfurling their Jenica, and they can hear you, ladies and gentlemen. The breeze is blowing from us to them. Give them a big cheer as they sail past. It's going to be a second place for them, the best result they have had so far in their hometown of Cardiff this weekend. Dave Evans and his team taking second place. Great result for them.
And that is the gun. Team Wales confirmed second, the best result so far in the series for them. Just what can that send off? What can they do today? Ended on a high today. That was huge local support here for them. They were locked in a battle with China Spirit, who were coming down in third, but then Team Wales unshackled themselves. China secure third. Good performance by another new team from China. Well done to you. And Red Bull Sailing, fourth position again. There's no doubt they'll be amongst the leaders, but the challenge to be on the podium getting ever harder. But a glance behind, as Roman Hagara does, there's a sight there he'll like to see, because the Austrian sailor can see a Swiss team in more trouble than themselves. Alinghi stalled at the start. They've got one place back. They're going to struggle to get any more. And the Kiwis, GAC Pinder, doing all they can to stop the team who have so much expectations of themselves here. SAP Extreme Sailing. There's going to be GAC Pinder. There's British interest in this boat. There's a strong Kiwi contingent as well on board. A new unit sailing together. GAC Pinder. And it is sixth for SAP Extreme. They won the first race we brought to you. Alinghi behind, disappointment for them, but the amount of races in this series, even the best teams at the end of the competition have to count some high scores. Alinghi will have to count that. Well, a real team, another unit from Switzerland, big names in their home country who've won on the tricky Swiss lakes, complete the fleet.
Just shows how tough it is out here, Richard. Even the best teams right at the top of the leaderboard struggling to make it round, but that might well open things up and dictate what's going to be happening for the rest of the day. The Wave Muscat in first place, and their nearest rivals, SAP and Alinghi, a long way down the leaderboard. That's going to really mix things up. So a small delay again while the race committee just assess the course, see if there have been any changes, see if they need to tweak it slightly, and then we'll be getting underway again. Remember, hoping to continue racing through till 5 o'clock this afternoon. Don't go anywhere at 5 o'clock though, because we will have the prize giving for Act 6 of Cardiff right here at 5:30.
Well, we've had plenty of people down this weekend. Cardiff, a city of sport, and two of the most famous rugby players were down here enjoying the action. Sam Wolverton, British Lion captain, and Alex Cuthbert.
I had no experience of sailing whatsoever, so jumped on a boat earlier and did a little bit of steering. It was great fun, so it's nice to do something away from rugby and something completely different in my home sort of bay of Cardiff Bay.
The big crowd here is coming round the Chinese team. Oh, no, look at the bows go in the water.
It was awesome, to be fair. It was more than I expected, and to be fair, I got to hand it to the boys. It looks so much hard work, but also good fun as well, and it was a great experience, really.
Nice right here, boys. This is going to win it for us, right?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, the Land Rover team are here today. It's great to sort of speak to other sort of sportsmen who are in the top of their field, you know, in a completely different sport. And you know, it's funny, you realise what similarities there are at the top of these sports, and you know what they go through, and quite a lot of things transferable. So, really appreciate them giving up the time to go out on the boat today. A great morning.
I thought I helped out a bit, but you sort of want to get involved, but obviously you've got to leave it to them. They're the professionals, and it was an awesome experience, and I love to have another go at it. Really.
Nearly lost it there.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I'll be back, and I'll try and bring Jamie and a couple of other boys as well along. I think they'd love it as well, to be fair.
Well, two big names from the city of sport who had a taste of Extreme 40 racing. Both appeared to enjoy it. Both want to come back and do more. Well, it's been quite a weekend, hasn't it, here in Cardiff? What a result that was for the football team yesterday. And their British players today who are out to score their goals on the water of Cardiff Bay. Leigh McMillan, the British skipper. Team Wales out to end on a high there. But there are others out to spoil the British players' party. SAP Extreme Sailing. Can they win their first ever event? Switzerland's Alinghi, the red and black sails, can they win here and continue their overall lead of the series? If you're enjoying today and fancy doing something like this again, put October the 3rd in your diaries. It's a little bit further to drive, perhaps, for many of you, but a weekend in Nice in the south of France. It's right on the French Riviera. Well, the boats race as close to the beach as they race as close to the shore here. We're there in October, and then for the finale, we go to the nation that's hosting the 2016 Olympic Games. Well, last year we were racing on the waters where the Olympic sailing will take place. It's a bit of a test run, if you like. And we're off to Brazil, and that will decide who the champions of the Extreme Sailing Series are. Cardiff took over as the brand new venue for Britain. Race control are just advising that there's a new course coming up. Breeze has changed slightly. This roadshow that goes around the world, there are all 8 boats, support boats, power boats. Then there's TV production. The television is on Channel 4, the series, and that's all the events. That's at the end of the year. Watch it on Sky Sports as well, news coverage on the BBC and ITV for this event. And look out for it when you travel around the world. 43 broadcasters are showing the series. Nothing else quite like this in sailing. Stadium racing, where you actually, as those of you who come down here today, are showing, sit and watch sailboat racing. If this has inspired any of you to have a go yourself at sailing, it's a sport that can last a lifetime, and it's probably a lot cheaper than you thought. rya.com, have a look there. There's an awful lot of good sailing clubs in this area too. rya.com for that if you fancy. Why not give it a go next weekend? Now, if you've just arrived here and you're looking at all the boats and wondering who the top players are, the Wave Muscat two-tone blue sails, they've got a 6-point advantage now at the top of the leaderboard. SAP Extreme Sailing, they are second, and Alinghi with the red and black sails are in third. The breeze has gone a little lighter. Well, there are some big names here. We're on board the Wave Muscat at the moment. Now just taking time out there, looking up the race course. They'll be looking for breeze and changes.
Yeah, big changes going on the race course, Richard. For those of you here or watching at home, you can probably see that lots of changes on the race course. Most noticeably the direction of the wind and therefore the start line. Our start boat has moved. It's just off the shore in front of us here in the spectator area, in front of the VIP area. And it is running left to right across the bay. So the other end of the starting line is a black triangular mark over on the other side. The boats are going to be racing towards us as they start, and their first mark is the yellow triangular buoy just off the VIP area here. So all change out on the race course, big shift in the breeze, conditions getting lighter, tactics are becoming trickier and trickier.
Well, some of the greatest names in sailing are here. And a man who's made his name in the sport, competing in a very different world. has come a long way. This is a man who's lapped the planet single-handed. This is a man who's watching the action today, and he's live right now with Josh.
And yes, I'm delighted to have with me here at the altar of sailing, legend Brian Thompson. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Josh. It's great to be here.
I took the mic away from you there. You were saying it was great to be here, and it's great to have you. So this is the first British sailor to break the round-the-world sailing record twice, and also to sail around the world non-stop 4 times for a world record, wasn't it?
Yep, 4 times now. Each time is very different. It's a very different experience to sailing here in the bay. This seems a lot more pleasurable.
Excellent. And based on that, can you talk about offshore sailing compared to what you see in front of you here onshore in a much tighter circuit?
Yeah, well, the sort of sailing I've done 4 times around the world, you don't see any other boats. You're really racing the clock. You leave from northern France and you need to sail 28,000 miles around the world as fast as possible, using the wind and the currents, and trying not to break the boat. Just it's an endurance, it's a marathon event, as well as a speed sailing event. So you've got to keep the boat together to go around the world. Here, everyone is out to get the last centimetre of distance down the track, and also to beat everyone else. It's not always about going the fastest way. It's also about protecting your position against the competition.
That's fantastic. We've seen that you've raced anything from 27-foot yachts all the way up to 140. These guys are out in 40-foot multi-hulls. I know you race multi-hulls yourself. Just give us some idea of the pressures that they're under to take those tight turns and that very congested start.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this now, it just reminds me of Formula One cars racing around a multi-story car park. It is so tight. Normally boats will sail on a much bigger course. Here they're constrained by the edges of the bay. It's very, very tight racing, and the wind shadow from the buildings really affects the course, and that constricts the boats even more, so that the wind shadow from the other boats will affect you. So you've seen that only one boat often gets away from the start cleanly, and everyone else is disturbing each other.
That's amazing. Well, Brian has an incredible 27 world records to his name. And with that in mind, could you just maybe give us an insight into how it all began for you and something to inspire the would-be sailors that are here today at the Extreme Sailing Series 2013?
Oh, sailing is just such a great, great sport. I've been doing it since I was 3 years old. I was very lucky. My dad learned to sail in the army, and he got my mum and my sister into sailing at quite a young age, and I just loved it from the first time I went sailing, and you can do so much with it.
A huge thank you and a big cheer, please, for Brian Thompson, who's with us today, world record holder on many occasions. Thanks very much for joining us here at Extreme Sailing Series 2013.
Thank you so much, Josh. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much indeed. Brian Thompson, round of applause. Big name in sailing, gentle giant of a man, but what he's achieved out on the ocean. Wonder if he'd have a go at this. Be good to see him. There's going to be more players on this tour next year, there's for sure of that. But whilst Brian was talking, is it me, or has the wind gone a bit lighter and the temperature feels a bit hotter?
Yep, it is hotting up here, not only for the spectators on the shore, but the pressure is mounting out on the water as well. It is really tough for those sailors out on the water. The wind is dying. Points are at stake. The end is nearing here in Cardiff, and these guys have everything to play for. We're just about to come up to 2 minutes until the start of race number 3 this afternoon. It's going to be tough for them, Richard.
Yeah, just actually to remind you, there is a different course. That's starting the race out in the middle of the bay, just a little more breeze out there. But don't worry, they're coming towards the crowd off the start line. The yellow boy, they turn left, go down to the 2 white boys at the most compact end of the course. Back to the green boy, back to those white ones again. And they do that 2 times before coming to the finish. So they may start further away, but this race will take place much closer to where the crowds are. Different techniques today, different tactics today. There is 1 minute and 18 seconds to the start, and the boats will head down right in front of you. That is the first mark of the course.
This is the 1 minute countdown. Now on board the boats, different sort of atmosphere. Really important that the crews move around carefully and gently, not cause you rock the boat, you slow the boat. Remember, there's a championship at stake here. It may be sailing in slow motion, if anything, that adds to the tension.
This is when our big, burly, rough, tough sailors have to turn into ballerinas, Richard. As you said, it's all about soft movements. It's all about gently coaxing the boat through these really light conditions. The clock is ticking, 25 seconds to go. Interesting move here from Red Bull, trying to find their slot on the start line. It's close. Can they get across the start line? Can they not be over the start line? SAP unfurling their Jenica. They want some speed now. 10 seconds to go. Will they all be clear? Who will get the best start? Alinghi looking nice here. SAP looking nice. OCS for China Spirit.
But it's interesting, isn't it, Hannah? The different where the boats have started. If you start on the left-hand side, your angle to the mark means you can unfurl that big Jenica. The boat I'm liking the look of is SAP Extreme Sailing. They've got enough power to lift the hull out the water. To their right, Red Bull and the Wave Muscat are coming in on a much tighter angle, and that's going to be the battle as this race unfolds right in front of the crowds. SAP, the Wave Muscat on the inside. If you're on the inside, you have right of way to go round first. And so the Wave Muscat are going to squeeze round, unfurl the Jenica. McMillan's given the call. Quite an aggressive turn there. And the SAP, can they sail past? They're so close to the shore now. And here they go. The Wave Muscat's got a zephyr of a puff there. And McMillan is just defending that first place. SAP in second. We've got Red Bull in third and Alinghi fourth. That is the top four overall here in Cardiff. McMillan often stands up. He's doing it again. Pick coming on board SAP. The crew getting their weight as far forward as possible. The Danish duos are leading their team and trying to squeeze on the inside of the Wave Muscat. Now, two boys at the bottom, you can go around either.
Yeah, you can go around either. The only rule is you have to go inside out. If you choose the left-hand mark, you have to leave it on the left-hand side of your boat. The right-hand mark, you have to leave on the right. It looks to me like SAP and the Wave Muscat all heading for the left-hand mark, because after this, they are back over to the green mark. For those of you that are confused on the start line, two boats were over early, so had to go back and recross. That was China Spirit and Real Team. But we're interested in the leaders at the moment, and it's the defending champion, the Wave Muscat, who rounds first, closely followed by their rivals, the Danish team of SAP.
Yeah, that's a nice mark rounding. A bit like motorsport, the corner's all about coming in wide and coming out nice and tight. That is the racing line. And Leigh McMillan there, the wind coming off his sails, the two-tone blue sails, and will be to some degree affecting SAP Extreme Sailing Series, Extreme Sailing's performance behind. Expect to see the leader extend here. McMillan, that was a superstar from him. SAP Sailing as well. For watching this into the future, when you're back at home, all the events are televised live. Go online, extremesailingseries.com, and something you may not be watching here, but you can when you're looking on your tablet or your television, is the SAP Analytics unfold a lot of the mystery of sailing. And you'll be able to see the race course through the animations that's showing you the telemetry and where the boats are, who's gaining and who's losing. So extremesailingseries.com, you'll see that in the television coverage, which is on 42 broadcasters, Channel 4 in the UK. Let's get back to the race, and the Wave Muscat have made themselves a little bit more room, a bit more comfortable in the lead.
Yeah, 50 metres or so their lead over second place Extreme Sailing team now, and looking strong. This is a sort of scenario that if you can wriggle out of the clutches of your competitors, you get in a stronger and stronger position. But watch out, because If you choose a bad spot to sail into, if you choose a hole, everyone else will sail around you. But Leigh McMillan, no stranger to this circuit. He knows what this game is all about.
And this is his next mark, isn't it? The green mark just in front of him.
Yep, the green mark they're going round. Then they are heading back down to the white gate again. And then they're heading to the yellow and then the finish line. So not much race left in this one today, but Leigh McMillan, a convincing lead. There he goes, unfurling his Jenica very lightly, very gently, picking his moves, picking his times to maneuver the boat carefully. The last thing he wants to do is stall that boat. But he's looking strong, and I tell you who else is looking strong. Red Bull sailing team closed up that gap with SAP, Richard.
Yeah, they have. Red Bull are a team that have sometimes struggled on the final days of this competition. And the Wave Muscat, who are sailing down, Jenica out, McMillan standing as he steers. Well, they started the day on equal points with the Lingy at the right end of the leaderboard, right on top of it. There was much talk about that battle could be so intense it may let one of the other boats in. That is not in the game plan right now. McMillan is in the lead overall, and his team had a 5-point advantage, looking to extend that in this race. Leigh McMillan, the skipper, talking about going for Rio 2016 and multi-hull as a possibility he's considering. He competed in Beijing at 2008. But now we'll just watch how he leaves that sail up to the last possible moment, the Jenica. He'll unfurl that just before the white mark. There we go. If that sail does not work when you're sailing close to the wind, it's a downwind sail. And he heads back up to the completion of a job well done.
Yeah, interestingly choosing to go around the other white mark this time, Richard. These guys always looking at the course, always looking at the conditions, how they're changing, and which is going to be the quickest and best route for them to choose. But a great lead over SAP. When Leigh McMillan turns that switch on, he can get an amazing set of results. And today he woke up and went, you know what, I'm going to win this.
I think that's what he thinks. There's a few other boats who don't share that point of view. But here he is, heading back upwind. Got a very noticeable stance when he sails, often sort of head hunched into the shoulder, leaning back, the rest of the crew as far forward as possible. But these are the sort of boats that when you get them into a groove, it's sometimes tiniest of details. The difference in speed between just slightly out of sync is huge on the water. So McMillan, he had a lead of 30 meters at when he came close to the mark crowd at the yellow mark. That is now a lead of 100. Looking comfortable, but as Hannah said, in these conditions, when you're out that far in front, you're always slightly nervous that you could sail into a hole and stop, and those who are far enough behind to take avoiding action can literally sail round you.
So this race is coming to a close. Leigh McMillan on the Wave Muscat heading to that green mark once again, leaving it on the left-hand side of the boat and then towards the finish line. So not much for his competitors to do right now apart from defend their own positions. The Danish team in second place.
It's a real battle here, though, as they come down to the mark, because we've got Wales in a standoff against Switzerland. And the Welsh team are desperate trying to stop Switzerland getting an overlap, and they're going to say there's no room in there. And the Swiss team have got to make corrective action, which they do. Good defending by Team Wales. Cautious sailing by Switzerland. Wales defend the position. Well, they're creeping around right now as the Wave Muscat come back towards the finish. Now this will be another cheer for McMillan and the Wave Muscat. They're on winning form. They started the first race not right at the top of the fleet. That was SAP Extreme Sailing. But now the Wave Muscat said they had a job to do today. They said, we've done it before, we've just got to keep consistent and deliver. They're finding their consistency, and the Wave Muscat are doing what they so often do, heading out on the last day and delivering. That's another victory.
And that will increase their overall lead for the British skipper, British crew members, Omani crew members too, and defending 2012 champions. Just look at the distance between first and second.
That's 3 out of 3, Richard, for them this afternoon. Fantastic sailing for the team. SAP, their nearest rivals, only just rounding the mark now, a couple of 100 metres behind. Fantastic. Really, really managed to extend and keep extending through this. But there's a battle going on for third place at the moment. It was Alinghi in that spot, but Red Bull just managing to squeeze around that mark ahead. Alinghi are going to be on the inside, though. Will they be able to hang on to third place? This is the question. Alinghi so desperately need to hang on to any points that they can in order to remain on the podium. But I think it's Alinghi that are going to take it. They had the inside track. But meanwhile, SAP Extreme flying the flag for Denmark there. Great performance here this week and another great result as they cross the finish line in second place.
That's right. I mean, SAP came out today in third place. So wanted that overall victory, and that's absolutely still possible for them, but they're certainly starting to look pretty solid in second. We've got Alinghi coming down now behind. Morgan Larson. Third place for Alinghi, so it's the top of the podium overall after, what, 26 races here. And it's the boats that have been delivering the best performances throughout the 4 days here who are continuing to do so. Another fourth for Red Bull, and it's a third for Alinghi. Well, Red Bull sailing, certainly in the Olympic careers. This is a team that really excelled when the winds went light and tricky. Hans-Peter Steinacker, Roman Agara, they're the double act at the back of the boat. Raced the Tornado Catamaran, no longer in the Olympic Games, but a multi-hull is back in the Olympic Games. They've had some moments over the seasons, even a capsize in Oman, that was a couple of years ago. As Real Team from Switzerland, oh, beautiful pictures those as they come down. Fifth for Real Team, coming down on a gust right in front of the crowd. Great place to watch if you're here just by the finish line. China Spirit finished just behind. Well, Team Wales in the mix again. Team Wales Land Rover, remember their first event. If you come down to enjoy the racing, scored a second best position so far on the tour, and they only started this tour. That was, what, on Friday, first day of racing here. Conditions weren't quite as stunning as they are today. And GAC Pinder complete the lineup.
So that's race 3 concluded here this afternoon. We're hoping to have racing continue right through till 5 o'clock this afternoon, and then at 5:30 we will have our prize giving for Act 6 of the Extreme Sailing Series here in Cardiff. It will be taking place just by the Norwegian Church. For those of you hanging around, please do see our champions crowned on the waters of Cardiff Bay this afternoon.
Well, we'll have a look at the scores, because of the Wave Muscat are looking more comfortable at the top. There we have a 7-point advantage. That's the Wave Muscat. They're leading by 7 points. SAP Extreme Sailing, they are in second. That's the boat with the yellow top of the sail, 188. Alinghi are third, 186. That's the top 3. Red Bull are still in fourth place, 175 points. Big drop down to Real Team China, Pinder, and Team Wales. So, breeze is holding up, got lighter, got trickier. But if you haven't seen these boats when it starts to get really wild and windy, they were designed deliberately overpowered. And so when it does blow hard, they are a real handful. And if you go on to extremesailingseries.com, click and have a look at some of the wild weather and some of the capsizes, because what happens in these boats is the front of the boat, the bows can dig down, they can pierce the water, and they can do somersaults. And racing in such restricted conditions, it's really hard to keep control. They are, by any terms, a real beast to sail.
Yeah, they really are hard work. Only a few crew members on board, 5 crew members sailing them. The races are short, the legs are sharp. There's a lot of work for them to do out on the water. But this today is as mentally challenging as it is physically challenging. The wind is light, the tactics are tough, the breeze is left and right, it's up and down, and the course is hard. So these guys will be exhausted physically and mentally this afternoon. I've just heard from the race committee, they're keeping the course the same for the next race, so no change in the course. So plenty more action for you to see on the shore this afternoon here in Cardiff.
Someone's got the right idea. They've got a big yacht. They've gone on a big cruise today, all the way to the Cardiff Bay Hotel. They've tied up on the front. They've probably told their friends they're crossing oceans and they're sipping gin and tonics, lying in the sunshine, in the shade from the Cardiff Hotel. Hello to you on the yacht over there. Best view in the house. Race control are now just deliberating. Still there is the breeze. Weather forecast correct. They said it would get more and more beautiful this afternoon. It would get hotter and hotter. That was spot on. Didn't mention the wind. Well, now it's a real challenge for the race control, because he's got a bunch of sailors who are coming to the finale of a competition, which is what they're paid to go out and win. But they want the racing to be fair, and the wind now is getting ever more challenging.
Well, here in Cardiff Bay, racing continues. Phil Lawrence has managed to keep the course going. The breeze is here. And we will be getting into sequence in just about 1 minute's time. So the team's getting ready, getting lined up, getting their head back into racing mode. They've had their water, they've had their energy drinks, they've had their fuel, and they're ready to do battle once again. As we've heard, getting pretty tight at the top between those top 3 teams here in Cardiff, and with only 2 acts remaining on the 2013 Extreme Sailing Series Tour, every point counts right now. If you want to know who's going to be on the podium later, hang around, join us for racing for the rest of the afternoon. And prize giving here will take place at 5:30 this afternoon. That is when we will crown our champion. But for now, we are getting into a 4-minute start sequence for the 4th race of this afternoon.
Alex, I know we've got to start. Go for the VT, remind me what it is if you can, and they're going for one more race.
So 4 minutes to go. Conditions are getting lighter. Tension is building out on the race course. Can the Wave Muscat continue their winning streak? Will we see Alinghi charge up the fleet?
Well, the sailors out there, they're getting exhausted amongst them. Anna Tunnicliffe and Graham Spence. They are 2 people, very physical, intense. This is them in action ashore.
Well, right now, me and Graham, we're going to do a little row-off 250-meter race. To be honest, I'm actually pretty nervous for this. He's like twice my size.
We've just had a huge day sailing, where I spent most of the day staring at a winch, winding a handle or pulling a rope. Managed to put me up against one of the tacticians. She's definitely had a lighter day. She's one of the world's fittest women, Anna Tunnicliffe, so I'm absolutely packing it.
Hold that back, because that will start the timer until it's ready to go. There have been a few guys that have bailed on this road today, but I had to represent the women, and I'm going to hold strong and do the best I can for them. In the CrossFit Games this past time, we rode a half marathon, so spent a fair amount of time on an erg.
I've got a race plan in my head. It's a very, very short race. It's going to be hard for me to wind up and really unleash my power over 250 metres. So I've just got to stick to my plan, and that's all I'm focused on.
So you take your all now? 3, 2, 1, go! That's it, nice, keep it going. Above 8 already, keep it above 9 if you can, that's great. That's really good, keep it going, come on. That's it, quarter of the way on the gang. Nice, and keep rowing through. That's it. Final 1, there we go.
That's the fastest time by a woman athlete.
I feel all right. I was let down by a computer failure in the end, so my time wasn't recorded.
Something happened, unfortunately. We couldn't actually have a real showdown, but maybe he was just scared, I don't know.
We'll never really know for sure, but at least I didn't get beaten by a girl.
Well, lighter conditions, but the Wave Muscat really are starting to dominate. SAP looking ever more comfortable in second, Alinghi third.